Hi guys, so I'm going to show you how you can digitally create a kind of piece of work in the style of Deborah Sandersley here. Now typically with this one you would do it physically, so it could be layers of photographs printed out, cut up, more of a collage. You can play around with different transparencies of paper, which can be quite nice. Again, I'm just going to show you how you can do this relatively quickly in Photoshop, and then it means that you might want to compare both methods and techniques in your work. So the first thing I am going to do is I'm going to go to File, New, and again it's up to yourself whether you want to choose a portrait orientation, if you want to go with landscape. I'm going to go with landscape here, and then Create. I've already got a variety of my images here. Now I would say the more you have to choose from, the more interesting and dynamic your image will be. But again, I'm just working with 4 here to show you a little example. So the first thing I'm going to do is just drag in my first image. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger now. If when you start to size your image, you can see that it doesn't keep the same constraints, therefore my image might be slightly skewed, what I can do is hold down the Shift key, and you can see that it keeps the ratio of my image exactly the same. So to begin with, again, you could use the eraser tool for this, you can use the lasso tool. The easiest and the quickest method is going to be using the polygonal lasso tool, especially when you have your buildings. Typically they're all kind of straight edged anyway, or a little bit more geometric, and that tends to work out a lot better. So again, I'm just going to roughly cut around my image. Again, obviously you can spend a lot more time on it than I am. I'm going to copy and paste, so I'm going to do Command C, Command V, and if I take away the visibility of my original layer, you can see that I now have my building. Again, holding the Shift key down to keep the ratio in check. I'm going to go to my next image, same again, Shift key down, and it might be that you are selecting just sections of your building, so you can break them down into little segments. You can have it as a whole, you might want a variety of both to create a slightly more dynamic image, but again you're going to spend a little bit more time on it than I am here, but the technique is going to be exactly the same. So again, it's just a polygonal lasso tool. It means I can relatively easy cut around my shape or select my area, copy and then paste, so Command C, Command V. Then it also means I can go back in my original images unaltered, so I can always go back and utilize that. Make this one a little bit bigger, and you can start to think about layering up your images. So again, it's going to be exactly the same technique. I'm going to go to one that I have prepared slightly earlier, and you can see that I've been cutting out sections of windows. So rather than just looking at the building as a whole, you might even want to think about having various sections of your building cut out. I might want to flip my image the opposite way, perhaps make it a little bit smaller. Again, you can start to think about some more creative collages. So you can leave it in colour, you might want to enhance the saturation, play about with the levels or curves, etc. You may want to change it to black and white. Now, if I put on a little mask of black and white, so I'm going to go just underneath my layers, the little half grey, half white circle here, select black and white. It's going to put that filter on everything. Again, and then want to enhance the brightness and contrast. So brighten up a little bit. Really want to emphasise the contrast in the work, and it does that overall. However, if I am looking to do it individually, so depending on the exposure and the type of building that you had photographed, you may want to do this individually for each layer. In that case, what I would do, let me just delete these two, what I would do is take it layer by layer. So I'm just going to pop these in the trash. So take it layer by layer. So I'm going to start off with my first layer here, and again it's exactly the same technique, so changing it to black and white. I then want to, so for this one here, I might want to up the contrast a little bit more, make it a little bit brighter. Might want to then go and look to curves. Now again, when you start with curves, it is a straight line. If you make it so it's a subtle S, I can pick up my highlights and I can pick up my low light. So I'm really enhancing that contrast. Once I have finished with that one, what I would then do is merge visible. Now you want to be saving your work as you go, so you may want to have two working files. So you might want your layers to be kind of visible and separate here, and then I'm going to have another one where I go to layer and merge visible. Then I can take the visibility away from that one and keep doing the same with each of these. So again, depending on your image, you might have to kind of tweak and tamper with them on an individual basis. So one setting might work really, really well for one of your images, but it might not work quite as well for your next. So again, I want to brighten that up. So I want to increase my contrast, and then I can go to layer and merge visible. And then you can see I have two entirely separate images, separate black and white edits, and that's how you can move forward with your work. So again, experiment with various compositions, different building types, black and white. Do you want colour? Could you have a combination of both? This is where you can be really creative with your work.